Hey guys, and welcome back to D&B. Today we are going to be doing something a bit interesting. It's not like an interesting video, but it's an interesting review I'm going to do today, which is a review on this thing. Yeah, the Giant Nrs1. This bike was voted best XC bike back in 2003 for a reason. Wow. So, obviously in 20 years, a lot of components are going to break down and become trash. So you're going to see around this bike, there's going to be a lot of replaced components, and I'm going to tell you why I had to replace them and what I got to replace them with. So first off, this bike is a 26 wheel 2.1 thickness tire. I'm not exactly sure because it's all dirty and stuff. This is a 2-inch thick bike tire, so very thin for a mountain bike. But back then, this thing actually was pretty thick. But 26 wheels were pretty common back then, but now they're kind of rare for a new bike or a new mountain bike. So, bike suspensions. In the front, we used to have an 80mm Manitou shock. Then that thing actually died and it locked out on itself. So we had to replace it with another shock. We chose a Manitou because, this bike had a Manitou before, so why not? And it was also cheaper as well. 100mm, not bad. Now it can do jumps a bit better. We have it on a bit stiffer suspension for normal riding, because XC bikes had to have a bit stiffer suspension in the front and rear. And speaking of rear, here's the back suspension. It's a RockShox, a Monarch RL. It used to be a Fox Float shock. That thing, we had to replace it because it was getting way too weak and it wouldn't hold air. In the back, we have a pretty cool suspension setup. It's actually made by Specialized. A sticker right here says Specialized FSR Suspension Design. This bike's obviously aluminum because it's welded, and you can tell it's not carbon fiber because it's welded. Metal does not make that sound. It's pretty light too. Jeez. It's like about, I'd say 29 pounds. It's on the lighter side for bikes, but it's average weight for an XC bike these days. Also, next thing I got replaced, the handlebars. The handlebars are fine, but they're way too short. They're like, I'm pretty sure there was like it was 150mm or something. It was tiny. It was like here to here, where these brakes were now. It was a tiny handlebar. That was the thing back then for XC bikes, but we replaced it with a bigger one. That's high-tech Hellbent. I like it. It's actually really cool. I feel like they got it from BMW. Like, that's their inspiration. Another thing that got replaced in this bike were the brakes, because the original brakes on this bike were first generation hydraulic brakes. Back in 2003, obviously they were very flawed, and they leaked everywhere when we got this bike from storage, and there's no hydraulic water left in the whole brake system. So took it to a bike shop, and for $100 they replaced every single brake component on this bike, even the brake discs. So yeah, it's not it was a nice deal. Last thing is the shifting. The shifting on this bike is very ancient because it's a 1x3 in the front and a 9 in the back, which means this thing has 27 gears in total, while the new bikes only have 11. Why not have more gears in the front nowadays? Because there's less moving parts, it's cheaper, and it's lighter. So all those three things combined just almost force the bike companies to go with 1 in the front and 11 in the back. With this bike, if it's not upgraded, it's not going to do that well. Back then, the shocks in this bike were outstanding and terrific, but nowadays they're underperforming and they just start breaking under pressure. For example, the original shock was a Manitou, an old one, and I did one kind kind of big jump on it, it bottomed out and locked out. The rear cannot hold air anymore, the original one. So, after you replace those things and install new suspensions, this bike is ready to go.